corporations, even though they try to classify them as individuals, which is not possible, but there was an attempt one time to classify corporations as individuals with rights. They want to get rid of all workers. They rather have a worker that doesn't take breaks, doesn't take vacations, doesn't do any of the things that a human does. And that's where they're headed. This is the motivation. And it does it much better than we do. The only thing they don't have yet is creativity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the sophistication of some of these systems, I guess creative is subjective because they're doing it in a logical manner versus an imaginative manner. So because they're prompted to respond in a certain way, and so therefore to elicit a particular response, so they can be programmed in such a way that would mimic creativity.
Well, I mean, once they have what they call machine learning, where the machine learns from its mistakes and implements that lesson into, their protocol.
Yeah.
That's going to be, when they get to that point, then you're talking about general intelligence. General intelligence means it's better than a human. You have generative now, they're shooting for general.
Yeah.
And they're putting trillions and trillions of dollars into it because they're competing with the rest of the world, especially China. It's no joke. And people should get ready, be prepared, have some flexibility, maybe think about medicine. I'm not telling anybody whatsoever to go do this or that. But if I was in my 20s, I would think about, okay, if I can't get in on the tech side, I would rather get that $100 million bonus, though, man.
Well,
that's salary.
Yeah, but
we got to think about it. The reason I bring it up is that we as people have to think about, number one, the jobs that are going to go first are the jobs that we do mostly.
Yeah,
those are your clerical jobs, your mid-level management job, white-collar jobs. Wells Fargo is deploying agents right now that are getting rid of people in money transfer. They're getting rid of people in equities. All those support mechanisms they have in place that support the front office where the money is made, they're moving that to AI because they're a redundant task. They're redundant. They do the same thing every day for 35 years.
Right, but the problem is not part of the issue. Because you mentioned, okay, if you were in your 20s, right, that, hey, I would try to focus on this, I would try to focus on that, which would be okay for the population that happens to be within that age group. The part of the problem and issue becomes those who are beyond those years, those who are in their 30s, those who are in their 40s, those who are in the working class and still are in their 50s and 60s. Yes, I understood.
I was working when I was in my 60s.
Right. I get it. So it's that population as well to say now you need to go retool to go learn a new language, a new this, a new tool, and everything else that has never been a part of your life. That's not even of your interest, nor is it possibly it's not in some people's strength. Like, everyone doesn't do everything well.
Sure.
Because some people, it's their ministry. Like, again, some people love numbers. Some people love words, which is the reason why we have laureates and writers and our authors and
writers,
and journalists, right? Because there's people who loves doing that part. But there's people who love to write but don't like research. That's why investigative researchers and investigative journalists. So, and there's people who play sports, but not everybody plays every sport well. So the point of me in kind of laying all of that out is that where is the space for people to actually being able to do gainful employment, and gainful meaning that it's that means something to them, gainful that it means that it's also something that is sustainable for them, to mean that they're going to be able to make beyond a living wage. I mean, again, we've all been in spaces where we've been employed and making a lot of money, then unemployed, where you're making no money, and then try to get reemployed and you're making a little bit of money. But is that sustainable? Can someone who is 44 years of age have done whatever they did in their previous career? Would they be able to legitimately pivot and turn and I'm saying on the broad spectrum? One, two, three.
I think that, Ernest, I think that you're not giving the human enough credit, because the human would, first thing he's always going to do is survive. He has to adapt.
Yeah.
To survive. This is just another one of those things that you got to adapt. And if you don't adapt, you won't survive. If you adapt, then you're going to survive. Same thing. Throughout history has been that way.
You're talking, but here's the thing. I've worked in social services and I've worked in workforce development.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the apathy approach, or an apathetic approach to the individuals in their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things come from a multitude of different experiences, right? Some are traumas from childhood, some are from traumas in their current state in life. Some are just, lack of examples, complacency in mediocrity, and there's a number of different things. And so I had changed what I had said, because yes, could we find a handful of people? And what I mean by a handful is in comparison to the overall population. It's 330 million plus people in this country, right? 200 plus million that are in the working force, right? And then, these are broad numbers. So don't hold me to them, or somebody fact checking me right now talking about it's only 199. But
yeah.
But 200 million in within a particular working class, and you might have 100,000 people, 200,000. I'll say even 500,000 people, right? That fits within a particular that could make that type of pivot. That could go from working in working in the field, picking watermelons, to becoming an IT CEO within a few years or something like that, or an executive.
All right. Ernest,
But the thing is that it's not that many. So it's not. There's empirical data to show that while there is a lot that the human spirit can do, and that humans have been proven to overcome certain aspects in their lives, there's data to show that there's a lot of people who aren't, have the capacity to being able to do it.
What's the number one law in the jungle, Ernest?
Survival.
That's
Self-preservation.
Right. Period. End of story. Full stop. If you don't adapt, you don't survive. That's just life, man.
Yeah.
Life, the strongest, only the strong survive in life, my friend. I mean, you have a certain, to me, and I guess it's glad that you're in the military and you work with the government, because I worked on Wall Street, and we don't play. They don't play. If you can do a job, fine. If you can't do the job, then you move on. All right? If you can't perform, everything is based around performance indicators. I used to do that every month. The PIP, and there's another one. All right? Every month. Okay? Did I meet the expectations? All right, because I'm being graded on it. Mm-hmm. Okay? So if I don't meet expectations, see you. Yeah. It's easy. It's just life. It's not personal. It's business. And you try I think you lean toward the personal too much, Ernest. You could never be a CEO because you're too warm-hearted.
Who?
You.
A chief executive officer is not just someone who is able just to being able to make money. I
know that, Ernest, but I've met plenty of CEOs, and I know one thing that's common in CEO: what's good for the company can be bad for the workers, but they will do what's best for the company, period.
I get all that.
End of story. Full stop. Okay? So you think the way I used to think when that professor told me When your boss sees you, he sees a cause he wants to get rid of. That's just the way it is. He's looking to cut his budget. He's looking to perform year over year better than they did the previous year. Everything is year over year. Everything is performance-based.
Yeah.
All right? You want to be better this month than you were last month. That's the way life is.
Yeah.
Okay?
But here's
so you can't butter it up. And
no. It's not buttering up. I think there's something I think that's inherent to what you're saying about these personalities for some of these CEOs.
It's true.
Right. Hold on. Yeah, no, the same would still be true.
They don't care.
How you start a business.
They may feel a little pain for you, but hey, they're getting paid. If they don't fire you, somebody's going to fire them. That's what it boils down to.
Potentially, yes. But the thing is
potentially nothing. It's the truth. If you got a bad performer in your department that's bringing everybody else down, making your department look bad, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I mean, I can see you call him and give him, write him up a couple times. But if he continues and he's not contributing to the pot, other people having to do his work and help him out all the time, no.
Yes.
Time for him to go.
So here, you're talking about a well-developed company that
but
very
I've always
well
worked in well-developed companies.
But wait, hold on.
I've been lucky. I've worked at some of the biggest companies in the world.
Understood.
All right. So all of my mindset comes from where I've worked.
I got it. But no,
all
and
right?
that which is
my view of life comes from where I worked.
I got it, but that's also because that was the atmosphere that was also created. The problem comes in when the CEO who starts off small, that appreciates every dollar that comes in, that appreciates every partner, every community partner that they're able to establish on their way up. At some point in time, they forget and they start cutting because, like you said, now we got to perform better than we did before. So what do they start cutting? They start cutting training, right? Customer service is not as important because at the end of the day, I have an established clientele that's paying X number of dollars. I don't necessarily have to care as much about this. I need everybody to perform at a particular level. So therefore, I can care less about this. It becomes, to your point that you're getting to, that it is cutthroat. It does become a dog-eat-dog world. It doesn't necessarily make it the most efficient and better just because you are gaining X number of dollars when you are destroying X number of lives in the wake of it.
Well, they don't see it like that. When the world changes, we're in the companies, especially American corporations, when they see it like you, maybe it'll be a better world. But right now, it's not changing, and it's not going to change.
But see, if we take that approach. Right. If we take the approach that it's not going to change.
I am going to have to say this. I'm going to have to say this, right?
Go ahead.
All right. Changing their approach. They're not changing their approach. It's not going to happen. You are a number. All right? In the military, right? They don't know your name. They know your number. Yeah. Okay? They don't care about your name. All right? It's time for number 102555. To go, it's time for you to retire. They say, okay, well, look, we're going to have to force you into retirement. You got a choice. Either you take the what do you call it?
Early retirement.
Discharge, the early discharge, or and all of this, or you don't. What are you going to do? If they tell you that, what are you going to do, Ernest?
Understand what rules and policies that I have. The problem, what ends up happening, and I'm glad that you use this as an example. Most people don't understand what laws, rules, provisions that they actually have at their disposal, or how to utilize it into their favor. Right? So if it is something that is a legal action, then I have a legal recourse to being able to find a pivot towards it. Meaning that if it is beyond my control, then I would have an understanding that it is beyond my control, right? And then I would have to make an informed decision about what it is and how it is that I will be able to move. So there are a number of different things that can actually happen as it pertains to service members being ushered out of the military, either by medical, administratively, or otherwise. Okay.
Well, Trump gonna usher a lot of y'all out of the military.
I mean, that is very much possible. And the thing is that what is important is that you, like, let's say, for example, let's say I just receive discharge papers just automatically. No prior knowledge, no one contacted me, nothing. And I just received them. Then I still have a way of being able to then go back and reverse that decision that was made. I may have to go to court. I may have to go to the Supreme Court. I may have to fight it.
What money you got to go to the Supreme Court? Or are you going to get an ACLU to help you out?
I wouldn't have to go to. I may not have to. I may have the ACLU come up and
because these private lawyers
defend me.
Want the case got to be tight for them to.
It would have to be tight, but I also may be able to have either a JAG, which is the Judge Advocate General, for which is military lawyers.
Yeah.
Or I can get a retired JAG to being able to go in and being able to do it. And furthermore, in the beginning of my case, just because of the nature of what it is that I know and how to interpret law and things of that nature, I may be able to service myself up into a certain point to where I would then need a actual lawyer to then step in. If it because again, you had already said that the number one rule is self-perseverance. So my whole thing is to be able to utilize the resources in which I have at my disposal, which was the God-given talent that I have to being able to read policy, laws, being able to interpret them, as well as
AIs can do that in a second. You take 2 months, they take an AI 1 minute. What you just said. They can automate that process. AI can do that job.
Okay, so then therefore you're just justifying the fact that I don't need a lawyer.
They don't. I mean, that legal. The legal area is being hit hard all the way up to illegal. All right. So I'm just saying that.
I mean, it is. No, but it is and it isn't, because the thing is that you still need to know procedurally how things need to be done within a courtroom. AI is not going to be able to actually make the argument for you, meaning that you have to articulate that to a judge.
It can recommend arguments that you can.
It could recommend it, but you don't necessarily.
But if you don't, based on case law. Matt, don't forget everything that man has ever written down in AI. Everything.
But here's the thing.
Everything.
But here's the thing, though. Let's just use something that we're all familiar with: Robert's Rule of Order. Okay. If you don't know when to make a motion, if you don't know,
I never heard that term before.
What, making a motion?
No, I heard him make a motion for Perry Mason, but go ahead.
Oh, if you so, I know he first
made me do that.
So
no disrespect.
I know you know. I know you've heard that.
I'm gonna put this out there. I'm definitely doing a clip.
You definitely should. However, if utilizing Robert's Rule of Order inside of just your everyday meeting, boardroom meeting, church meeting, whatever the case may be, where minutes are being taken, and you don't know when to make a motion, you don't know if the motion needs to be seconded, you don't know whether or not if you've established a quorum, if you do not know the rules, AI can make all the suggestions that it wants to make, but if you don't know when to speak up, you will be silenced, because those of everyone else that's in that room would then know what the rules are and sit there and say, well, you've made a motion, but the motion did not get seconded, and therefore the motion fails, and then they'll move on. Same thing in the courtroom. If you don't know when to object to something, if you don't know that, hey, you need to make sure that the judge actually makes a ruling on your objection, then you wouldn't know that if the judge doesn't make a ruling on your objection, then you can't actually appeal the decision that was actually made in that courtroom because there was no ruling that was actually given.
All right, I understand your earnest, but let me just not hang in there on that particular topic too. I do want to make a few points, man. Oh, that was heavy. Thank you, Ernest. You're the man.
He the man.
All right, but I do want to tell y'all guys, since you're on this AI thing, I got an interview request from an AI. Wants to interview me for, it was, what was it? CIO, Chief Information Officer job. All right, because I read that AIs are doing the initial interviews now. When you do the first interview, you be talking to an AI. You won't be talking to a human. All right, I already got an invite, but I'm not going back to work, so I didn't even pursue it any further. But I was surprised that they're already doing it. I read about it.
Oh, I need
but
you.
AIs are out there now.
We need you to do it.
All right.
So you can give us the feedback. You got to go through it.
You got to go through that. No, man, I don't know. Maybe next one I get, I'll do it.
Yeah, just go through it.
It came through LinkedIn. It came through LinkedIn, but they sent me an email. It was the email I got.
Oh, yeah, just accept it next time. Yeah, so you can actually see what it is.
I don't know. But anyway, we got Miss Bridget Stokes just joined us.
Hello. I miss you guys.
Yeah. You know we miss you.
This technology is messing me up. And I'm not an AI person anyway, so I just want to know. I think you allow me in.
You're a me, myself, and I type person, man.
Yes. Even my experience recently with AI, I've been in a workshop about, my book that I'm publishing. And as I was taking notes, they were saying, for God's sake, don't use AI. Don't send let AI do your editing in your own personal manuscripts, because of how the publishers like to see the originality of the writer, right? So, which in my opinion, I like my own. I want to say it natural. I want people to feel that natural feeling of words, as opposed to letting AI tell them how I'm feeling, because they don't know how I'm feeling. I'm human and they're mechanics. So, I'm just saying, I'm not an AI person. Maybe that's why it's dragging me. I'm dragging Ernest, to even learn how to use AI. But our CEO over there, Mr. Walter Lathan Sr., he likes to use it.
I got no choice.
So I agree with you. I'm waiting. We want you to go ahead and do your thing so we can, learn about it.
All right, I'll do that because I got no choice. If I can employ agents to do some of the work I do, that makes me more efficient on other stuff. That's all. Right?
I'm not even sure how that even works.
Some things I guess
I want to do
it.
I want to do
it good. Some things, but I still think you have to have that, just as a human touch to it. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? I can give you an example. And I was at, this is 80, 89, 90. I was at Swiss Bank Corporation, right? And I think I mentioned it to Ernest, that I was working on this project where the bank was losing millions a year on overdraft fees. All right. And what I did was, I looked at it and I said, okay, there's got to be a way to, to address this loss. All right. I had to do a report for my boss, senior vice president. He wanted to know, how much does a trade cost us? How much of one trade being processed from front to back for this particular customer? How much does it cost us per trade? And how many trades do they do a month? All right? So what I would normally do is go and look at all the statements, look at their transactions online, Then I said, what maybe Microsoft COBOL? I don't know if you remember Microsoft COBOL. All right? That's a 4GL, fourth generation language. Up there with regular COBOL, but it's considered a 4GL. But anyway, I went and I started, looking into doing this on there, on the platform. But the thing is that it did it so well. I didn't have to do anything but define it. And it ran every night at 1 on the end of the day cycle, batch cycle. I had people all over the bank looking for that report. And when I left the job, 3 years later, people called me and said, is that report, that report didn't come out last night. I said, I don't work for the company anymore. Why are you asking me? Okay? But it's just what I'm saying is that certain things, and that's what I felt, that's why I fell in love with automation. Because something that would take me 2-3 weeks to do by, I don't even have to work. I just code it. The hardest part takes 2-3 hours to code it, and boom, it just goes. So I think, I think what we have to distinguish. No,
I understand what you're saying, and I'm
No,
sure
but
that you can.
distinguish.
I am sure that there are some things in about it that is valuable. It's quite valuable, but but there's some things
busy
that,
work.
because I get a lot of the on my book search personally on my books, my publishing, finding the right company that'll fit me. During the process, me having to, some of them are using AI for everything, like you say, you feed them the information and they're using, and some don't. And I understand if I use it, most publishers won't even look at my material if it's AI.
No.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah, AI has, again, that human touch is important, because it is what's most important about anything that we do in life. It's not the work we do, it's the people we serve.
True.
And I think the question that anybody who's making a career choice in their life is, who is it that you want to serve? And for most people, especially on this particular conversation and call right now, are believers in God. And so if you're here to serve God, is the work you're doing actually serving his people? If the focus is only on money, then the service is to money, not necessarily to people. And therefore, the adverse effects of AI will permeate, right? But if you're here to serve his people and to serve the community, doing God's work and the Lord's work, then you would mitigate some of those adverse effects that AI would actually have, because it does not serve the greater community. It serves the
purpose. Did you make a statement there that the AI doesn't serve the greater community? How can you make that statement, Ernest?
What I was saying was, that's interesting, right? Because you took wait, hold on. You took a sound bite, right? And if you were just to cut that little 2 seconds of what I said, right? Yeah, it would sound AI doesn't serve the greater community Huh?
I wouldn't do that to you, Ernest. But.
No. I know you wouldn't. I'm not saying that you would. I'm just saying that. So, in context, what I'm saying is that we should mitigate any adverse effects to the greater community.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Not that we can't utilize a tool, because while you had mentioned about that previous software, when Excel or Access came out, Microsoft Access and Microsoft Excel, and we plugged in the home. But here's the thing: it wasn't an automated thing as far as it running on itself, but it did help with formulas. So when you put the formula in, and all you had to do was plug and play and put the numbers in, and it produced your bottom line. It told you what your forecasting was. It told you what your overhead was. So yes, it does. There are advantages to tools, but like I said, at the end of the day, who is it that you're wishing, that your desire is to serve? Is what it comes down to.
Enterprise. Computer. Describe this object. Spark. I'm getting bored. Yeah, I like to make a joke. You know me. I can't be serious.
Excuse me, guys.
You know me better. Y'all both know me for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But Ernest, your mindset in terms of how you handle people, I can tell you one thing. I used to believe like you. I know this manager did me wrong. All right, he did me wrong, Ernest. And I called HR. HR called me up and blah blah blah. Next thing I know, I was out the door. Because whenever you on a job, and I learned that people, if you're on a job and you get a problem, with the exception of sexual harassment and all that kind of stuff, okay, I'm not talking about that. Well, let's say the guy's not being fair. He's not treating you like somebody else, and you go up to HR. You're going to be out the door.
I
now
know.
that you have a potential suit, now that you got a situation, I'm not talking about suing situations like, feminism or sex. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it could be just performance. Let's keep it to performance.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, this guy over here is producing 100 widgets today and you're doing 95. And it doesn't get any better. The other day you did 80. So your manager tells you, okay, well, you're not keeping up with the rest, I'm going to have to let you go. Or you got 30 days to do better. And the reason that you're going that way is that your machinery is not, you're having problems with your computer, this and that, and you go up to HR. Number one, the manager's going to be mad that you didn't come to him directly. Number two, HR always work for the manager.
I mean, I get it. I've seen it. It's happened to me. As far as having whatever particular difference, and you're going to seek out advice, and then all of a sudden now you're on the short end of the stick, and they've created this narrative that is hard for you to potentially being able to overcome. I get it. The thing is that I don't take those. I try not to. Let me say it this way. I try not to take those negative occurrences as like this is the way that life is going to be. I take it is that if I experience it, someone else experienced it, how can I make it better for somebody else? I take those negative occurrences that if I did not experience it, then I would not have the empathy necessary to make sure that it doesn't happen to somebody else. In the work that I try to do within legislation and advocacy and everything else is so that way I can have that level of empathy when we're sitting there saying, hey, we need to extend these benefits out to our disabled veterans. We need to extend our education opportunities to these sets of veterans, because again, they need to be able to retool and reskill themselves to make themselves marketable in the workforce. We need to open up these particular opportunities. We need to create skill bridge opportunities for service members who are leaving the military to being able to have an internship that's going to be paid for by the military, so that way they have at least a 6-month opportunity to being able to learn a new career, or to being able to bridge the skills that they have and continue their career with a civilian agency. But those are things that come out of either one, other people's experiences, and or your own. And so when I experience things negatively, I take it as an opportunity. And I don't look at it necessarily as an obstacle. It's an opportunity to understand how hard it is to be unemployed for a number of months and trying to figure out how to make this happen and make this happen while still being nurturing and caring and thoughtful and hopefully inspirational to other people, even in my most adverse moments.
Well,
right?
you're a unique individual, Ernest. I always knew that.
I appreciate it, that's just how I look at it. So yeah. And here I can tell you this much: I think many people who are executives now had at one point in time the thought of doing the most for as many people as they possibly could. At some point in time, they were burnt by friends, family, their supportive staff, or whatever the case may be, that has made them jaded, and they have found comfort in doing that because they found other executives who have also become jaded by some of their experiences. And so now we have this group of individuals who find therapy in kind of sharing how harsh they could actually be, and how, and how we can continue to build money and growth together. And honestly, I mean, it's not really going to be that important. I mean, let's look at.
I think a lot of that comes from your training in school, especially when you get on the MBA level. I
mean,
that
some of it can be, yeah, but that's also, that goes with culture, right? I mean, what is the culture of the matter of fact, what's the bias of the professor, right? Did the professor work on Wall Street? Were they extremely successful? Were they moderately successful? Did they never get an opportunity? Those. I mean, it comes there, right? What is the nature of the university, right? Who are the alum that donate money, right? Because that also can set the tone of how the students wish to model after this particular person or that particular person.
I
So
used to do that.
yeah. So I mean, there's a number of factors that I think that also play into that part. But I think overall, the individual's experience is going to play a huge role in how they go about their day-to-day operations within the work that they actually do.
Yeah, but one thing I mentioned it, is that I would look at individuals, let's say when I was back at Bank of New York, before it was Urban Trust at the time. It's back in the late 70s, early 80s. And there was a guy that came in as the department head / senior VP. And his name was Dennis. I'm not going to mention his last name. But the guy was a former airline, not an airline, but an Air Force fighter pilot in Vietnam back then in the day. And this guy was like my hero, right? And even to the way he walked, I started walking like him. I wanted to be like him so much. Smart. White guy now. I used to walk like him because I admired him. I admired what he had done with his life, even though I couldn't be a pilot. But those are the certain things that interest me. A person that can be so powerful. But the thing is, if I look back at it now in its purest form, okay, he was considered much better than me. There's no way I could have gotten this job. No way I could have flown a plane. But yet and still, he was my hero.